Hello there, everybody. Welcome back. I'm here to be talking about Reagan, which is the newest film that stars Dennis Quaid as Ronald Reagan, the 40th President of the United States. And it basically follows his life and how he went from, early humble beginnings to going into Hollywood and becoming a star, and then going into, the White House and becoming a big political figure. And it also is told in a lot of ways through this perspective of this former KGB agent from Russia who followed Reagan and was tasked with spying on him, really, and just seeing him as this big threat to their communist regime, and ultimately, as we saw play out, a lot of the end of communism under how Reagan as president. So this was an interesting movie because for me, I do like historical type of dramas, and my dad really wanted to go see this movie because Reagan's one of his favorite presidents, so we had a fun time there. And this movie is based off of the novel by Paul Krager called The Crusader, Ronald Reagan and the Fall of Communism. That's the title and all. So it's a pretty interesting movie to go watch, and I was a bit hesitant to go see it because obviously with a film like this coming out, especially close to an election, an election year, a lot of people tend to politicize it, which it's kind of hard not to because it's based off of a big political figure. And you could see that in the contrast with reviews from the critics and then the reviews with the audience on Rotten Tomatoes, for example. I don't think it's very hard to think of a film that has had that big of a divide, that low of a review from amongst critics, which are pretty left-leaning and liberal, and then obviously the target demographic is Republicans, conservatives, to go see the movie. And then even with Cinema Score, it did I believe it got an A on Cinema Score. So in terms of audiences, it's doing pretty solid, and a lot of reasoning is to that is because this is said to be one of the best Republican candidates, and maybe you can argue it's one of the better presidents that we've had. And an example that I can point to, because I don't really want to dive too much into politics, I just want to stick to making the movie, which, by the way, the director who I believe also made that film that I'm pretty sure a lot of people heard of called Soul Surfer, with that girl who survived the shark attack, he, I believe, made a statement saying he was just trying to tell a good story and he wasn't trying to over politicize it and stuff. And I was like, what, that's pretty interesting observation to say, because I do like it where obviously movies, you tell a story and you want to tell a story and stuff and have themes, but you shouldn't be preachy about it. You shouldn't be hammering the message down and kind of being insulting in a way to your audience. And I kind of felt that because there were some moments in this film that were not the best, because for one, the budget was pretty low. I believe it was a $25 million budget, and there are some parts in the film that kind of look cheesy, maybe don't hold up as well, but there were some fun little moments in there too, seeing throughout the time periods of the early 20th century, when Reagan grew up, into the golden age, if you will, of Hollywood, seeing those classic ads that he starred in. Obviously Dennis Quaid's playing him, but you see a lot of that early Hollywood glamour that was pretty fun to see. And it was just it did drag at times as well. The film was really long. It was over, I believe, 2 hours and around 15 minutes or so. And so you do start to feel the runtime in some aspects. And I wasn't expected. There was a lot of narration from John Voight, who plays that former KGB agent who was tasked with overseeing Reagan and looking at him and stuff. So there was a lot of emphasis from that, which I believe a lot of this is based off of his descriptions and knowledge that the book and all is made from. So I get it. It's just those parts kind of drag, but the parts that I was pretty interested in is just seeing the man himself, because Dennis Quaid as Ronald Reagan is incredible. Just from if you look at side by sides of certain sequences and certain line deliveries and just the look, he looks and plays the part pretty solid. I was really impressed with watching it because I will say, from some reviews I've seen, no one's really been trashing on the performances because it's not really like you can't really deny that they do a solid job with the work they're given, and it's hard to not be interested if you're like a history guy to see like some of these iconic moments. Like you see a couple points of the assassination attempt on Reagan, which was just insane to see because it was caught live. But just seeing this interpretation, seeing some classic Reagan lines, like he was being critiqued for being too old and not really there, so he did a witty remark to the person he was running against, and he made the guy laugh, and people in the crowd were laughing. It's so much different than it is today in a way, because there's still some toxicity and stuff back then, but here it just seems more vicious and just crazy in the political sphere, which is why I like to stay out of that. And I think it gets really sad and just terrible how it goes on both sides. Like it could just be really dangerous to speak your mind and go out there. But I don't know, it was just interesting from that aspect to see how different people were back then, but also how similar in a lot of ways they were with stuff that was going on. And the movie doesn't shy away on some negative aspects of Reagan. Like near the end, there was a controversy with him. Allegedly, I believe he was trying to pay off people who kidnapped hostages near the latter half of his career, and that was like a big scandal that the film doesn't really say if he does or doesn't. But it's not like an overall praise of him, but the core message of the film is Reagan's crusade to stop this rise of communism and try to protect America and stuff. And so it has a very patriotic feel to it, and that's obviously I think why a lot of these people who are going to see the movie are enjoying it as much, because it feels a bit like a different movie that you don't really see that much of anymore. But it also has that sense of low budget kind of nostalgia to like how, I don't know, I remember seeing films that were similar to this growing up, that you don't really see films that are told like this. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but it just felt like a unique experience. And obviously my dad was telling me tidbits and stuff because he grew up during this time, as like a kid, teen and all, so he witnessed it firsthand. Even when the Berlin Wall was coming down, he was stationed over there when he was in the army, and so he was there live when all that was going on. So maybe that gives a more appreciation for me liking the film, because I have my dad explaining it, some parts that he understands better, and he was there for at least that part. So that made it even more fascinating for me to just watch this and spend time with him. But not everyone obviously is gonna have that type of experience, but maybe that's why I'm a bit more happy with the film. Again, this was a solid film overall, and I gotta say the actress who plays Nancy Reagan, she did, I thought she was great throughout. Like there's some fun, tender moments. Their relationship was really sweet, seeing it develop, and her being there for him. And I don't know, I thought that she was a standout for me personally in the film. The actress, she did a great job. And the film overall was pretty solid, and even at the end, I love it when films do this during the credits. They had like real life descriptions of certain people that he knew throughout his life, and telling like what happened, real photos, and played some like some like classic music and stuff. And it was just an overall solid experience, albeit with some nitpicks and all that were there. But with all that said, those are my thoughts on Reagan. Again, what did you all think of this film, if any of you really saw it? Because I know it's not a big, huge film that people are going to be talking about and all, but if anyone, checked it out, or, if you have any questions, let me know down below in the comment section. Again, it really means a lot that you all check this out. And if you want to hit the subscribe button for more videos, that would mean a lot. And I hope to see you all in the next video. Bye.